Ahoy there, it's Captain Katie. Welcome back to the Savvy Squid. Today, we're going to be diving back into the plate to paper art kit. It's been a while since I've done this one, and I'm so excited to get back into it. Before the video starts, though, I do have a little bit of something I want to announce. If you don't watch my vlogs or anything like that, I do have a new Patreon open. It just opened this month, and you can check it out with the link in the description. A short little bio about it. It's basically all sea creatures, and this month's theme is cherry blossoms, sakura blossoms, whatever you want to call them, and they're super duper cute. You can head over to my TikTok or my Instagram to kind of get a feel for what they look like, but anyway, if you want to join that, you can. Again, links in the description, and now we're going to get into the video. So today, we're going to be painting this. It's a pretzel and I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's in a book. It's a pain au chocolat. Pain au chocolat. Anyway, these are what we're going to be painting today. And yeah, I'm just going to get right into it, and I'm going to start mixing some colors, and then I will be back when the colors are all mixed. I was looking at these and they're very similarly colored. So I am going to keep with the theme of that, and we're just going to do some layers. You know what? Before I start, I'm going to put some masking fluid down because there are some whites, especially in this pretzel, that I really want to preserve. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so the masking fluid is dry, and we're going to start out with some initial layers. I am going to do something a little different. I'm going to paint in just where I see it's a little darker, so I can get those layered up, because usually I go ahead and do all of like the flat colors, but I want to do something a little different. So I'm just going to mark in where I want the darkest colors. I mean, the whole point of this kit is to experiment, so I just figured that, you know, what's the point in doing something like this if I'm not going to experiment, right? So I just figured I can just go ahead and do something a little different today. Also, it's 7 in the morning, so this may be filmed in parts because my little should be up in about an hour. So I don't know if I'll get this done in an hour, but if I don't, it'll be filmed in 2 different parts. I kind of am hoping that doesn't happen because I don't know about you, but I really don't like it when my art, I don't even know how to, like, my flow is interrupted. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. This is a really fun pastry, like, especially to paint, because it's just got all these different lines and stuff. And I suppose it's like the flakiness of the whatever it is. It looks like some kind of like a croissant or something, but I think that's really cool. Also, I'm going to separate that because I see that it kind of rolls over there. And then a lot of in between here has a little bit of darkness to it, so I'm just going to go ahead and just pop in some layers. I'm going to be kind of messy with it because it's fine. This is like the first layer. I'm not too worried about perfection at this stage for sure. So, to ask you all questions, since I never usually do that, and I definitely should, what have you been painting or doing lately that has just made your day? Something that has just really made you happy, something you look forward to doing? Like, lately for me, it's been reading. I look forward to reading almost every day when I do. And I have not been looking forward to painting, and that is terrible, and I shouldn't admit that, but here we are admitting that. I'm going to kind of blot up some of the water here, just because I don't want any super duper harsh lines. Now onto the little pretzel. I'm going to pretty much do the same thing. I'm just going to mark in kind of where I want it to be a little darker. So nothing really fancy here, just blocking out shapes really. And these aren't necessarily going to be shadows. They're also going to be kind of where it's been cooked a little bit. So just anywhere where I see that it needs to be darker, I suppose. And this will just make it easier, I think, in the long run for adding in shadows and layering and stuff. Because I do know that I've had some issues keeping some colors lighter And I think this will help because I'm working with the white of the page still instead of covering that up completely. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Alright, that was fairly simple. And while we're here, I'm going to take a little bit of that color and just block in this little bubble and this little bubble. And then I'm going to let these both dry and then I'll be back. It is now the next day. The little ended up getting up and I didn't really have the heart to, just kind of leave her. So, we're going to be painting some more. And I can give you a little bit of a rundown of my day yesterday. So, yesterday, it started out like any other day. And I had to get some paperwork done. We're in the process of trying to buy a house. So I was trying to get some paperwork done and all of that. Anyway, I got a lot of that done, and then we needed to go to the licensing branch because we needed some licensing stuff done. So, we went there, and he got off early so we could do all that, and I don't know. It was just rough because we had an appointment at the same time, which was my mistake. I shouldn't have let us have an appointment at the same time, to be honest. And we didn't have a babysitter or anything because I don't know anybody up here, and I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm not very trusting when it comes to my kid, especially with people I don't know. So I'm not just gonna be like, oh, I need to hire a random babysitter that I've never met before. So we took her with us, and that turned out to be a bit of a nightmare because the whole time I'm trying to get this stuff done, she's wanting to run around in the licensing branch, and it was rough. So, I told Hub, I was like, next time I think we're going to have different appointment times because I'm not doing that again. And he laughed and he said that was fine. Yeah, I mean, it was annoying, but whatever, it is what it is. So, as you may notice, I'm darkening up all of the stuff that I had done yesterday. It dried, and I wanted it to be a little bit more of a reddish hue, so we're going to go in with this. It's like a burnt sienna and vermilion mix, which I'm going to have to probably mix more here soon. So I decided to just forego this painting, and I ended up falling asleep at home whenever we got home from everything because I was so tired. And and then I didn't do anything pretty much for the rest of the night. I ended up playing some Rune Factory, and then when I went to bed, I listened to some of the Hawthorne Legacy, and it was pretty uneventful. I need to mix more of this little burnt sienna vermilion mix. Let me make sure I got the right color. So nothing really eventful happened. Just I took a nap and we did some errands and all of that fun stuff. Being an adult is fun. I decided to get up at 4:30. Well, I've actually been up since 4. Hub left for work at about 4:30, so I decided to just kind of pop in the art room and get started on all of this for today because I kind of want to get it done. I'm not wanting to procrastinate this video any more than I have to. Alright, I'm going to let these 2 layers dry. I'm going to pop this color in these little bubbles. And then I shall be back. By the power vested in my heat gun, we are now back. So now that I've got these shadows in, I think I'm going to go ahead and go in with this kind of like yellowy color that I've got going on, and I'm just going to paint over everything else. Just kind of give everything this warm glaze of yellow. We're going to start with the pretzel. And we're just going to go over that. And I'm going to try to get these edges to blend, but if they don't, I'm not mad about it because I can still go over them. It's no big deal. And I'm going to try to use this yellow mix to go over everything, not just stay where the whites are. I want it to go over the shadows as well. And if you've noticed, which I sure have, the shadow layer is getting a lot lighter, and that's perfectly fine. I don't mind because I think
This yellow layer is actually blending it really nicely. Well, in some of the areas. I need to go back over the others. And for that, that's a good thing because that means it's doing the job I wanted it to do. I wanted it to look a little bit more, I don't even know, a little bit more like cooked and buttery, like in the other illustrations. So the yellow is doing its job, and I can always go back over and shade these because, you know, it's watercolor. But I am trying to kind of coerce it to blend a little bit.
That's looking nice.
But we will be doing many more layers on that, so no worries. And I'm going to do basically the exact same thing for this, pan au chocolat. Except I'm going to go over the whole thing even where it is supposed to be darker because that dark color is just going to go over everything anyway, so I'm not really worried. And some of these areas I don't want it to blend as much, so I'm not going to put too much pressure on like blending it, especially in these top areas. I'm just going to kind of brush over it pretty gently. And then maybe at some of these areas down here where it could be blended a little more, just kind of try to coax it with my paintbrush.
Okay, now that we have two nice, very buttery looking pieces of art, they need to dry. My heat gun will do the job and I'll be back. Now we've got the fun part
of adding in the deeper shadows. So I'm just going to do that right now starting with the pretzel. And I'm going to also kind of work some texture in here a little bit as I go, just to kind of give an illusion of it being a little bit more rounded. And yeah, because that's what my reference photo has in it. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm also going to be softening up some of these lines just because I don't want them to be really harsh. So I'm going to go back in with water. So I'm going to basically do this in sections.
And then hope and pray it dries as
pretty as it is on the paper. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be kind of boring. I'm just doing the same thing. Just making sure I'm adding quite a bit of paint to this and less water, and just adding that rounded looking texture, and then kind of feathering out the edges. This pretzel looks so good. I recently woke up and this is making me hungry. That's the bad thing about doing this kit, is that it makes me so hungry. But I mean, I guess it's a good thing because it looks tasty, so it works. I don't heckin' know. And then I'm gonna grab some more yellow, but like a really light mix of just yellow. And I'm going to just kind of brush it in some of these lighter areas because I want it to be a little bit more yellow. And it's alright if it blends in with what I've got going on here. Gotta make sure I put in these little bubbles.
Alright, we're going to leave that to dry because I think I'm almost done with
this one. And we are going to darken up these layers as well. Just going into the shadows I created really and just adding a few more lines of just this darker color. Just to emphasize where the original lines I had put were, plus just adding some more layers of, shadow. That was difficult for my brain. That's what happens when you start painting and talking at 4:30 in the morning. Don't be like me. Unless you have a kid and 4:30 in the morning is your only time to paint, kind of like mine. I'm also going to take some water and kind of just pull out some of the shadows into other areas. And my cat is behind me meowing. He's not a happy camper. And I don't know what's wrong. Oh, you know what? It could be because I have my door shut. He does not like it when I shut my door. He's very controlling. Okay, so I can tell that this top pastry here has a lot more shading going on with the darker color. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I do an extra layer on this. I'm going to go ahead and blot this because I don't really like how it's looking. I'm going to go in with a little bit of a darker color. Well, the same color. And darken it up, but just differently, because I wasn't liking how it looked.
Alright, time to let this dry.
I've already got like a dark chocolate mix going on here, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of plop some of that in here. And you may start to notice that there will be white spots in this chocolate, and that is because I masked it off. And it's supposed to be kind of like the shine in the glaze or chocolate, whatever that's supposed to be. And this is an initial layer. I decided not to go as dark as I could, just in case I wanted to change the temperature of the color or anything about it really. But yeah, I'm just going to be painting within the lines of where this is supposed to go. Nothing fancy. I might actually just cut some of this out because I probably won't talk over the rest of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Alright, now while some of that is drying, because I've got it all done, I'm going to take that same yellow that I used over here on the pretzel, and I'm going to kind of just brush it in. I'm not going to go everywhere like I did with the pretzel. I'm only going to go where I kind of want it to be enhanced a little bit. And then some of the areas I can't go yet, which is up here, but I'll wait for that. And I'm not using the exact same colors as the reference, because they do have their little dots filled in. So this is what they've got going on here. They've used more orangey colors, but you know, I decided to kind of play it up and mix my own colors and kind of get my own way there, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I like to do these. I think it's great to follow their color guides, but at the same time, I kind of want to figure it out for myself. Also, I do remember wanting to add some of the darker shadows into this top piece here because yeah, there are darker shadows and I want to add them. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of base it off of the reference a little bit, but I'm also going to just kind of go where I feel right, like I feel is right. I kind of like painting with my soul. That sounds so like weird. I just like painting where I feel like something should go. And I'm kind of keeping these lines sketchy because I don't want them to be too uniform or anything. I'm finding this mixture to be a little watery. I should have grabbed a thinner paintbrush while I was at it. Oh well. Not entirely sure if I like some of these lines yet, but that's okay. We're gonna roll with it for now. Most of the time with watercolor, you can kind of pull up the paint if you don't like it. Especially like with another color or something. So if I don't really like it, I can always go over with this like burnt sienna color. Or I can even do it now and kind of blend the colors together, which I think will be a little bit more beneficial to what I want. Because I want it to look like there are lots of like flaky layers. And in order to do that, I've got to make lots of lines. I think that's looking a lot better. And while I let that dry, I'm going to go ahead and remove the masking fluid from the pretzel. Just simply rubbing my finger really gently gets them all off. Alright, now we've got some stark white, and I'm going to just mix up some of the neutral tint. And maybe... yeah, I'm just going to mix it with a bunch of water. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying because somebody inconsiderate happened to go by my house. But, yeah, I'm just going to pop in some neutral tint that's been watered down into like this gray color just to give the little salt flakes some definition and illusion of being three-dimensional. And that means I'll probably just put all of the gray color at the bottom of these. And I might leave a little bit of room at the bottom as well, just because it kind of gives it a bit of a like a reflective shadow or something. And then some of them I'm just going to kind of blot with a little bit of water, just so they're not going to dry with a super duper hard edge. Some of them are fine, but I want to get a few of them to not have a hard edge. Alright, honestly, I think the pretzel is basically done. So, we do still have some more layers on this top part, and I'm going to have to remove the, what's it called? Masking fluid to continue. Some of these spots are a little too big for my taste, so I'm going to go in with just a dark mix of that like chocolatey color with hardly any water at all. And I'm just going to go in and kind of touch it up a little bit, basically just making some of these a wee bit smaller the masking fluid tip, unfortunately, is quite large. So whenever you're masking, it can, it can leave a bigger spot than you were expecting. It's just easier to touch it up afterward instead of trying to bring the white back, because gel pens and white paint and all that stuff are great, but they can't always get what you want. The whiter the paper is the sure way to go. Oh, I still have masking fluid there. My bad. Okay, there we go. One last thing I'm going to do is something I don't traditionally do with my traditional, but because I have it and because it's an art kit, I'm going to do it. I'm going to add some lines of white just kind of throughout, because I feel like some of it could have been a little lighter. I definitely could have left more white of the paper. It gives me the excuse to actually use the white that's in the palette. And as I'm looking at it, I'm deciding I don't really like how this white shine looks, so I'm just going to cover it up right here. And then with that, I think I'm going to just call this done. I think they look good. I think they were fun. I do need to add in this light mix of gray over here. I didn't use all the bubbles, but that's perfectly fine. I didn't expect to. But anyway, thank you all so incredibly much for watching and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this real-time video, and I will see you next week for a vlog and another video. Stay safe on the seas out there, and until next time, toodaloo!